Taking the shockwave released by Razel head-on, Shion and Ranga were sent crashing through a wall and outside the church. Razel casually strolled out to pursue the two. In their fierce battle with Razel, Shion and Ranga were greatly wounded. However, Shion was still very calm. She wasn't afraid at all and confronted Razel as if it were nothing. She was maintaining a false pretense of confidence in order to avoid showing weakness to her opponent. Behind Shion, Ranga was trembling as he regained his footing. Unlike Shion, Ranga didn't have ultra speed regeneration, so every attack he received added up. He did, however, possess many resistances, wherein his defense was strong enough to nullify most physical and mental attacks. In addition, due to my blessing, he also received the unique skill Magic Wolf King. The ultra instinct of his Magic Wolf King skill gave him the ability to predict and evade almost all attacks. It would normally be impossible for him to be beaten down like this. Moreover, he was fighting against a single enemy with Shion. The fact that they were still losing showed very clearly just how dangerous of an opponent Razel was. Almost as if she were protecting Ranga, Shion stepped forward. "Ranga, it's okay for you to take a rest." "How can I do that? This guy is strong. If we are struggling as it is with the both of us, it will be too dangerous for you to fight alone, Shion." "Don't worry. I think I'm getting the hang of it. You should try to save your energy as much as possible until I give you the signal, Ranga." Shion didn't wait for Ranga to respond before raising her adachi at her opponent. Her stance was very beautiful, a symbol of her unwavering will. "Magnificent. Even amongst demonkind, few have been able to stand against me for so long," Razel praised. To Shion, having been complimented by her opponent, who she failed to even land a scratch on, was nothing but humiliating. "Shut up. I'll rip that smugness off your face," Shion shouted, raising her sword high, and then bringing it down with the wrath of a demonic god. While her action seemed to be encompassed, it was a swift movement without any flaws. Razel was completely unmoved. He simply raised his left arm. A clang reverberated. It was the sound of Shion's adachi being deflected off Razel's exoskeleton. He was an insect-type monster, and his body was covered in an exoskeleton stronger than steel. That's why, even without weapons or armor, he still had incredible defense. Moreover, Razel's exoskeleton deflected Ranga's magic attacks. It would seem that his exoskeleton had a special field around it, rendering any attack completely useless. After blocking Shion's attack, Razel threw a punch. He was strong enough to crush a boulder. So if a human with flesh and bones were to be hit, they would be splattered into pieces by it. Had it been the Shion of the past, she probably would have taken it without much thought. Her past self would have had no choice but to endure or die. But Shion had grown since then. Perhaps it was due to her having to educate her subordinates, she had learned to see the bigger picture. If she were to die here, the whole battlefield would be affected. If she could buy some time before she lost, surely, someone would come at her aid. These days, she had learned to prioritize her survival instead of recklessly seeking victory. It was why she wanted Ranga to rest. If they both went all out here, should something happen, they would both be useless. So, to avoid that, Shion, who still had strength to spare, decided to be the meat shield. Although, naturally, she had other reasons as well. "Haha, if I win here, Rimuru-sama will definitely praise me." That's what she was really thinking about. Although she prioritized survival, Shion was not going to give up on trying to win. Her growth had given her plenty of room in her heart, and that extra room accelerated her dormant talent to blossom. Shion's fighting style had also changed compared to that of the past. Having devoted herself to Hakure's teachings, she learned to value the importance of technique, instead of relying on brute force. Her duel with Razel had honed her skill even more. That was why Shion embodied the beauty that an orthodox swordsman would have. It was brute force plus techniques. The result was, in swinging the adachi, Shion created a shockwave heading for Razel. Of course, Shion only used it as a distraction for Razel, and then rapidly closed in. She launched her next attack in a swift motion. Razel managed to deflect the blow yet again, but it numbed his arm. She had improved greatly. Even during combat, she was refining her skills. Not enough, this is still not enough. Just now, she utilized her unique skill cook. She wanted to use guaranteed outcome to destroy Razel's hardened exoskeleton. She had not given up even though he deflected every blow. She focused on slashing the same spot all this time, only holding one thought: destroy the exoskeleton. Shion's goal was to bend the rules and break the seemingly unbreakable exoskeleton. Regardless of how strong Razel was, Shion refused to relent. She kept him busy, and even when her skills seemed useless, she did not fall into despair. She had faith that her wishes would come true as she continued to attack. Razel calmly parried Shion's attacks. He attacked and defended with mechanical precision. He was entirely nonchalant in how he calmly handled Shion. On the other hand, Shion tried every trick in the book. She even activated her intrinsic skill Ogre Berserker to go beyond her limits as she fought. Yet no matter what she did to Razel, her attacks were a piece of cake. The difference in strength was unfathomable. Shion exhausted everything in her arsenal. She could barely stand against her enemy. In comparison, Razel was as steady as a calm river. Yet, there came a sudden storm to flood the river. Shion had drained her willpower after continuously using her skills. If she were to lose her balance even once, she would suffer the repercussions of overtaxing both her body and mind. Moreover, since Ranga had withdrawn from the battle, Razel had been able to grasp Shion's techniques. During the fight, he had carefully probed her to confirm each trick until she had none left. The next second, Razel's Yaoki swelled dramatically. With overwhelming aggression, he began to launch a fierce counterattack. His power had grown several times greater than before, and he used it to rain a barrage of fists on Shion. Just a moment again, Shion and Razel had been in opposite positions, with one stationary and the other on the move. You're indeed strong. And you should be proud of that. But you can't win against me. You failed to damage my shell. You're finished. You should just give up and surrender, Razel declared. Yet Shion answered him calmly. Haha, how laughable. Did you think I was attacking mindlessly? I want to reach greater heights than this. If I don't, I will always just be looked down on by that arrogant second secretary, Diablo, and not be of any help to Rimuru-sama. What? You're one clueless insect, aren't you? I said that I will surpass you. Shion's Yaoki suddenly grew exponentially as well, and she swung at Razel again with all she had. The adachi slammed into Razel's arm. Unsurprisingly, Shion's attack was deflected by Razel. Yet, Shion cracked a smile. He, as expected. At that, Shion pulled herself up from the ground, shaking, to face Razel again. How disappointing. Your attack couldn't harm me after all. Shion sneered at Razel's words. Shion recalled how shallow she was in the past. Strength is justice. As a monster, it was only natural for her to think this way. The weak would only be exploited. Shion was born as an ogre, a higher-ranked monster of the Great Jura Forest. Yet Shion's thought process was very concerning to the other ogres. Especially to the mentor of Shion, Benimaru, and the other ogres, Hakura. Shion's mind and body received thorough training. Even though it made her more modest, she probably didn't understand the true meaning of it. When Rimuru set the rule, don't look down on other races. Shion didn't oppose it, but neither did she care about it. The weak can only die, that was just the law of the land. It wasn't until Shion had died herself that she realized just how flawed her view was. She was afraid of dying. She did not fear death in itself, but instead the thought of disappearing before she could be of any use. Later when Rimuru saved Shion, she was relieved. It was a kind of relief one felt when realizing that they hadn't been abandoned, and that their parents still protected them. After the battle with the Holy Knight Order, even Rimuru shared some wisdom with Shion. She changed again. At the time, she thought that humans were detestable adversaries. But afterwards, Shion let go of most of her anger. Even though she had to reflect on it afterwards, Rimuru's words helped solve the issue of what humans were to her in her mind. Rimuru said that not all people were bad. If there were bad people, then there were also good people. The important thing was being able to tell the difference. A person's value depends on how they choose to live. Stuff like strength or weakness had no intrinsic meaning. Even if you seemed to be useless in some field, perhaps you just had to explore your talents in another. A person's value should not be determined by other people, but themselves. Shion understood what Rimuru meant. In this way, she realized that there was no need to be envious, or begrudge others. She knew that she was inferior to Diablo in every way, and so she had always been afraid that Rimuru would abandon her. But that was not true. Knowing that Rimuru would not forget about her, Shion's insecurities vanished. That ugly emotion had occupied Shion's heart until recently, but finally disappeared entirely. There was no need to be envious of others. She just had to surpass them. She focused on her own improvement. She no longer treated other people as her competition, but instead, found meaning in improving herself. By doing so, she believed she would continue to grow. Even if it took her years and years, Shion's kind lived long, so she would doubtlessly reach a point where she was no longer fragile and weak. This change of heart helped Shion grow, and she was less anxious as a result. Even further, under these extreme conditions, her tenacious spirit bore fruits. Confirmation complete. Intrinsic Skill Ogre Berserker of individual Shion has evolved to unique skill Battle God. This was not Shion's aim. This miracle was simply a byproduct of her endless determination and struggle in attaining victory. I'll tell you this. The goddess of victory looks favorably on the persistent. Take this, unleash Battle God. Without hesitation, Shion put her newly evolved unique skill Battle God to use. Her overtaxed muscles screamed in pain as she pushed her body to its limits yet again. Using Ogre Berserker earlier had burdened every part of her body, but in order to continue fighting, Shion spammed Ultra Speed Regeneration. Unique Skill Battle God was like the upgraded skill of Ogre Berserker. It would not cause the user to lose self-control, and instead, purely enhance the strength, stamina, and psyche of the user. Just like Benimaru's magic flame transformation, the skill enhanced the user's strength, and gave them the properties of a spiritual life form. However, it wasn't an all-powerful skill. In fact, it had some major flaws. Once activated, Shion's physical strength was directly added to her spiritual body. However, it consumed magicules really quickly, enough that it could dry her storage in a short amount of time. When Shion activated her unique skill Battle God, she would quickly be pushed to the limit of her abilities. Her next strike would decide the victor of the battle. And so, with this resolve, Shion entered the final confrontation with her enemy. "What is this power?" Razel exclaimed. "It's coming straight for me." Under the influence of Battle God, Shion's Yaoki was overwhelmingly powerful. At the same time, it had enhanced her body, sharpening all of her senses. Shion could feel her strength boiling inside her. "Now, Ranga. Got it." Shion raised her Hercules axe to the sky with both hands. It was then that Ranga released black lightning, having concentrated all his energy on it. He had been saving his energy to charge its power. It was the most powerful struck Ranga could manage. Ranga had faith in Shion, and even if the lightning he summoned hurt her, if that were what she wanted, he would do it in a heartbeat. "You punks. My shell." Shion didn't give a crap about what Razel was going to say. Chaotic fate. With all her willpower infused in her strike, it could cut through all the laws in the world. As lightning intertwined with her dachi, she swung down. Shion's attack left a small crack on Razel's arm. His exoskeleton blocked most of the attack, but that was more than enough for Shion. As long as she could make a tiny opening, she would be able to activate optimal action and reach guaranteed outcome. This was the secret of Shion's unique skill cook. The blade flashed, leaving a severed blade flying through the air. Shion's adachi had broken into two in the end. Yet, Razel was the one to fall. Starting from the left hand that was originally cut, a huge wound extending from the center of his body, and his shoulder severed him in two. The devastating lightning ripped through the wound and scorched Razel's insides. It was at that moment that the battle was decided. Razel fell to the ground. He knew he would die soon. He turned his eyes to see Granbell fighting against Luminous. "Sorry, Gran, I will go first. I shall meet you at the place we promised." The light faded from his eyes, and Razel finally passed into oblivion. Like that, Shion and Ranga emerged victorious.